This is the Fitness Plus Technology Podcast, episode 14, with Michael Piermont and Dave Johnson from ECOFIT Networks.
There's a lot of ways you can get data. And I think what happened in the last 5 years is everyone got really excited about collecting the data. There are scales that you step on and they send your information to the cloud or a smartphone. But then what? And that's really the most important part is we are now transitioning from being data collectors to data users.
You know, what it comes down to at the end of the day is the ROI. And we're saving clubs a lot of money. I mean, the average large club spends on average about, you say you have 80 or 90 pieces of cardio equipment in your club. Well, that's $500,000.
Welcome to the Fitness Plus Technology Podcast for club owners, operators, and fitness professionals. I am your host, Josh Trent, and this is your number one trusted resource for the accelerating world of fitness technology. Each week, we bring you an expert interview with a global influencer at the crossroads of fitness and technology. You'll gain the insights, tools, and inspiration you need to stay connected to the pulse of what matters most for your fitness business in the age of exponential technologies. This podcast is brought to you by support from our outstanding sponsors, Brian O'Rourke and his family of companies, including Vedere Ventures, Integris Advisors, Moon Mission Media, and many more. If you're looking for unmatched guidance, capital, insights, or a great speaker or facilitator, Brian and his partners are the go-to resource for your organization. To learn more, visit brianko'rourke.com. We'd also like to thank the Fitness Industry Technology Council, your nonprofit resource for reliable technology information, supported by forward-looking brands who are seeking to drive increased technology adoption in the fitness industry. Make a difference and join at fittechcouncil.org today. For episode 14, as we approach IRSA coming up in March, we're talking about what the IoT, otherwise known as the Internet of Things, really means to the fitness industry in 2017 with the CEO of ECOFIT Networks, Michael Piermont, and the co-founder, Dave Johnson. If you've been curious about how connected devices will bring your members value while also supporting the bottom line of your fitness business, this is the show for you. It's absolutely no surprise that cardio machines on the floor have to be functioning at an optimal condition to make our members happy. But what about the IoT and connected sensors can help clubs in their marketing and customer experience? We'll dive deep into that topic right here, right now with Michael Piermont, and be sure to stick around for the second featured guest on our show, Dave Johnson, the co-founder of ECOFIT, where he takes us to the practical and pragmatic steps a club owner and operator can use to implement these new technologies, as well as benefits of remote monitoring and beyond. Let's step into this insightful conversation. First up with Michael Piermont. Michael, welcome to the show.
Good to be here, Josh.
So today I'm excited. I get to download some cutting edge information from your brain and expertise to the audience. We're talking about the IoT, the Internet of Things, big data, machine learning, predictive analytics, and honestly, what all this exponential technology means to the cardio machines on the floor and to the trainers and club owners that use them across the fitness landscape. Michael, before we dig into the data, can you expound upon the path that brought you to ECOFIT and why now you're helping club owners raise profit lines by tracking fitness equipment use? You actually worked in the NBA at some point, right?
Sure. Thanks again, Josh, for having me. So in 2006, I started working for the Pacers in the video room under Rick Carlisle. And so we did a lot of data analytics. So we were kind of ahead of our time. We were tracking shots. We were tracking plus minus. We were tracking spacing on the floor and essentially starting to come up with analytics and more than just, points, rebounds, combinations of players, combinations of our players versus theirs. If there was something that we could track, we tracked it. And then our job was to take that data from the players and essentially find outcomes. So it was really exciting. Looking back at it, we were kind of before our time. Almost every team has a whole analytics department. We were kind of just running on our own. In 2007, I started working for a company called Norvax. Now it goes by the name of GoHealth, and it's the largest health insurance exchange in the country. As the Affordable Health Care Act came through, a lot of the health insurance agents got pushed out of the business or switched to other lines of insurance because of the margins. And so we thought we were in a good position to capitalize on that market. And we actually started providing health insurance agents free technology if they would write under us. And essentially what we did is we tried to mine huge data fields. I mean, hundreds and hundreds of millions of fields, millions and millions of people through predictive algorithms, tried to figure out who was buying insurance, when they were, how they would, and tried to market to them on those mediums.
This is interesting because the Internet of Things, this started for you early. Everything you did tracking and monitoring the athletes in looking at data sets is essentially the same underlying thing you're doing now with ECOFIT, just in a different way.
It's funny how, so we used to look at athletes and what they were doing or what they weren't doing. It'd be interesting to see, certain players who you would think would be in the right part of the floor, or, like we would track deflections or a pass that led to a pass that led to a shot. And so sometimes it was more about what they didn't do. And right now I am currently the CEO of a company called ECOFIT, and we do very similar things in a very different market. So we track the usage of fitness equipment, mostly cardio. So gym owners, managers, corporate owners can say these treadmills are being used, these treadmills are not being used, they're being used more than these ellipticals by type, by brand. We can find seasonality in it. We can find certain locations that are better. We can provide rotation reports. And really, in both instances, using data helps you understand and visualize potential outcomes. And if you can visualize and understand potential outcomes, whether it's on the basketball court, whether it's using a Nest thermostat to make sure that you're saving money by automating your thermostat, or if it's, a garage door opener that understands, when you're in the area and, heats your garage and opens your door, whatever it is, it's understanding the data, whether it's by location or it's a IOT, which is automated to predict the outcome.
Now let's talk about this Internet of Things, because it's a term that gets thrown around a lot, but I don't think there's true clarity for most people around exactly what it is outside the tech sector. So there was a recent report that we'll place in the show notes today, 17 Internet of Things facts everyone should read. It talked about how because there's so much data and ubiquity, that true big data tracking is actually more difficult to track effectively. And the interesting part is that so many companies use the IoT and these devices. But let's explore, Michael, the impact of the IoT in the fitness industry. What does that look like?
That's great. It's great time to be an Internet of Things guy. So, I think a lot of the Internet of Things IoT market really started with a company out of Boston called LogMeIn. And I'm lucky to have worked with some of the members over there. And LogMeIn really started out giving the ability to log in remotely to your computer. So the whole notion that you don't have to be next to your computer to see what's on there. And now we understand that as cloud, but Internet of Things, the whole connection to devices, and really the important part of that is to aggregate the data, right? So do you understand your daily walking ability? How much have you walked? What are the steps? And of course, we all know about Fitbit, but connecting the Fitbit to understanding the amount of steps you need to take, in my opinion, is the most important thing. So there's a lot of data collectors out there. There's a lot of ways you can get data. And I think what happened in the last 5 years is everyone got really excited about collecting the data. There's a ton of different companies that connect to different type of cardio machines that do member fitness tracking. There are a ton of wearables. Watches can now do it. There's specific fitness devices. Most phones have an app where just by using the accelerometer, you can do it. There are scales that you step on and they send your information to the cloud or a smartphone. But then what? And that's really the most important part, is we are now transitioning from being data collectors to data users. And you see a lot of companies out there that are in the B2B space that are known as SaaS companies, so software as a service. So, whether you want to use TurboTax or HubSpot, you pay a service fee and you log in. It's all in the cloud. So you don't have to buy the software like the 90s. You get it as a service. And I think the next wave will be data as a service, right? So being able to subscribe to a monthly fee, and this is something we're doing at ECOFIT, and saying, okay, I have 50 machines and they should be rotated and we should get, more of these and less of these. And when we're buying new machines, we should look at seasonality and who's using the machines and how they're using them. And I want that service, and I'm willing to pay a monthly fee because I understand that it's going to save me money. But more important than any of this in the fitness industry, saving money is keeping your customer happy, right? And you and I have talked about this. I think the key with fitness data is, as a fitness organization, as a gym, you're there for your member to get healthier. In what capacity? Of course, it depends on the customer. It depends on the gym member, but that's the service you provide, right? And so being able to measure it, I think, is really important. And I think that is where the Internet of Things is really exciting because they're data collectors. And if we connect the data the right way and you can, create a path where you can use this data to change the behavior, then I think we're onto something. And there's a lot of people that are doing it. There's, Nest is a great example because Nest thermostat was bought by Google. Then Google bought Dropcam. Then they bought another company and developed like a smoke alarm. And now they all connect together. So if your smoke alarm goes up, it alerts you, your camera's on, it calls the police through Wi-Fi. I mean, everything is connected.
Right? It's all seamless.
Yep. Yeah. It even then turns on, even if you don't subscribe, it starts recording. That way, potentially they could use it if they had to save victims.
This is such an exciting time. This is why I am pumped for what we talk about on Fitness Plus Technology, because the majority of people simply don't know about how much of an impact this is creating, Michael. So yes, to people that are in the tech sector or that have some bandwidth for technology, they're well aware. But in 2017, still, this is the minority when you look at digital literacy. For example, in 2016, Forbes put out a study which researched thousands of people and only 87% had even heard of the term Internet of Things. So for somebody that doesn't live in the tech sector, how would you simplistically explain what is the Internet of Things?
Yeah, so I guess the best way to describe the Internet of Things is the notion of devices that are out there to A, collect data, and B, help you automate things, right? So you can remotely connect online via, your smartphone or the internet, right? So a few examples that I like, of course, the Nest and the Dropcam or the Nest camera, Jawbone. Those are really good examples of Internet of Things. Reason is, they never leave your side, right? The point is, you're supposed to keep them on all the time. So the best way to get data is to be collected or turned on all the time. You don't do anything, that information is harvested and sent up to the cloud. Another really interesting model is a company called PetNet. And so PetNet is an automated food dispenser for cats and dogs. The problem that they're trying to solve is not, can we feed, Tommy the cat remotely, even though that could be one of the uses. They now have access to data on how much that cat is eating, what kind of food that cat is eating. And now, for the first time, the pet industry is getting data on what the animals are eating, when they're eating, how often they're eating, how much they're eating. This has never been, companies, supply chain companies in the pet market, all they would rely on is, Petco sold 50 bags. That's it.
Sure.
And so now you're providing data sets to people, like Fitbit provides a lot of interesting data to yourself. But I think what's really interesting that Fitbit is starting to do is aggregate a lot of this data and say, when are people walking around? When are they most active? When are they least active? What time zones, what part of what, starting to connect the dots. And I think it's interesting when you add the automation and you add the geo targeting, you're starting to pick up on a lot of trend.
This is bigger than just big data, because this year I think it's projected 12 billion. Last year we had 5 billion devices connected through the IoT. And the same study from Forbes shows that by 2020, it's going to hit over 50 billion. What do you think, Michael, the pulse is right now for how the IoT is adding to the growth of the devices in the fitness industry? And how's that being received? I mean, where do you think the biggest opportunities are in our space right now?
I think the first few years, and I was lucky because I was after my stint with Norvex and GoHealth, I started a company called amSTATZ, and we provided CRM solutions and online presence for personal trainers and gyms. And then we exited to NASM. So I was there when the IoT market started exploding, and you saw a lot of trainers who were very nervous that they were going to be replaced by a Fitbit. And it was funny, it was just the opposite. We had a Fitbit integration on our platform, and Fitbit can never replace a trainer, right, if you do your job. But if you could then say, hey, Josh, I see that you weren't very active this weekend. Looks like you kind of sat around and just watched football. Why don't we, try to get your heart rate up and do more cardio? So the trainers that would embrace IoT, that would embrace harvesting the data, could actually design better programs to help change behavior.
And in the long tail, the more data a trainer can get, the better results they can give their client at the end of the day, right?
Exactly. And again, this kind of goes back to what we touched on earlier, is that data is really important, and getting a lot of data in a lot of different fields and current data mixed with old data is really important. But if you don't visualize and create a path to use the data to make new paths or change the behavior, whether it's in business and getting rid of some treadmills because you have too many, or getting rid of treadmills and putting in more uprights, or changing the layout, whether it's changing your marketing automation, changing your content, understanding not just putting out articles, but understanding where they're reading them. Are they reading them on their phones? Are they reading them while they're walking? How visual are they clicking on the ads? I mean, all these data points mixed in with the different devices that we can harvest data from, make it possible for us to change our results, whether it be business or fitness results, or both.
You talked about trainers getting data and those benefits, but what about club operators and owners? What's the resistance you're seeing right now from the vantage point overlooking the industry 30,000 feet? Is it that the technology is just almost there to meet the array of unique clubs at their deepest need? Or is it more of a mindset when it comes to technology adoption? What are some of the benefits of this technology for clubs over the next 2 years?
So I'm pretty hard on club owners, because I'm always in the mindset that they should use more and more and more and more technology, right? Especially IoT, especially big data sets. I will give club owners a lot of credit. They are being pummeled with different technology tools every day, sometimes 3 times a day, whether it's email marketing or different apps in the club, or member fitness tracking, or way to manage their machines, or different employee modules, a bunch of different tools. And it's very hard because everyone's tool is the best, right? We're all trying to push our own agenda. And so what I really, really think club owners need to do is they really need to understand the different paths that their members can take, right? What is success to a Josh Trent? What is a success to a Mike Piermont? What's a success mean to someone else? You could have 5, 6, 7 different types of people at the gym. You may have more. And understanding those customer paths is really important. Once you do that, creating kind of the data and understanding the data around it becomes easier and becomes more impactful, right? So, if I am using certain machines, or I am going to the gym at certain times of the day, that's where they have me. That's where they have the ability to impact me from a fitness standpoint and to market to me, right? And so, don't send the same email to everyone, right? Because you have no data to support that works. The whole, throw crap against the wall and see what sticks, that basically is the reason why you need to use data, right? If they know that I'm in the gym because I check in between 6 and 7:30, well, man, how nice would it be to get an email at 6:15 or 7, as I'm walking, towards the gym. Hey, did you check out these new machines? Ask one of our trainers, to give you a free tour and sign up for a $25 personal training class.
Sure.
And so understanding what kind of class, right? So if there's member fitness tracking, understanding what I'm there for, what I can do and what I can't do. My mom was talking to me yesterday, and she's like, "Yeah, I got an email from this gym that asked if I was interested in powerlifting." I was like, "Oh, I'm sure that's really relevant to a 73-year-old woman."
Sure.
So just that's someone who bought a list, right? And said, I'm going to email 100,000 people, and if 100 people show up, that's how we marketed in the 90s. So understanding, kind of where the data is coming from. The Internet of Things allows it to be, real-time data, most of all, and, very current data, whether it's, last week, yesterday, an hour ago. And so the changes you can make are very quick and impactful.
I have a lot of respect for what you said about gym owners getting pummeled by all these new tech platforms and devices. I also have a lot of respect for club owners that are essentially drinking from a technological fire hose as of late with all these platforms and their efficacy growing to deliver massive value. Because you're right, Michael, everyone thinks their platform is the best. And I'm even thinking about the smaller chains, the boutiques, the big box clubs as well. How do they make those good decisions? What should they be looking for in tech solutions right now for profit lines to benefit as well as their member experience?
Yeah. So my advice to any gym owner would be, I'll kind of speak at a 30,000 feet view. All the technology you can buy, you've got to understand. You've got to, understand the path that technology will help you increase the value you're providing to your members, decrease your cost. So if it's something like ECOFIT, it helps you manage your cost and make sure that you're running a profitable business so you can stay in business and spend money on, better machines or better floor layouts. Or, it's got to do something that really, as I said, would impact your customer's experience. And so you have to think about, I don't just need this to do this, right? So what's, again, kind of the process that they want to go through? And then I think it's really, the fitness industry is great because it's a big industry, but it's pretty small in the sense that there are a lot of people talk, a lot of people are very helpful. So if you own a gym that has 30 pieces and you're focused on selling, add-on services like training and small group classes, there are other gyms in your area or people you can touch base with and ask, how they're doing things. You can, reach out online. There's a lot of help. And I would say any new path you're asking the members to take in or anything new you're doing to automate operations or, experience, test. You don't have to sign up for the 2-year package all the time. If you can visually see that, okay, this is going to save me money, then I get it. But if you're having to build out a whole new workflow and change the way that people check in and change the way that people, operate at the gym, then maybe start with 30 people and ask them if they would, want to be in a test. I know there's a group in Chicago, they own 8 gyms, and 2 of them, they automate it. So you check in with a cell phone app. There's no one at the front desk. So you basically check in and it unlocks the door. You can swipe there's a code and you can use it if you want to rent a locker. If you want to get a machine, anything like that, it just basically, and there's one maintenance person and usually one other person in the whole gym, in a huge gym. And it's basically all automated, and they have everything is tracking. So they know if a machine's broken, not being used, they know how many people are coming in. If it's a slow day, they can manually turn the automatically turn the lights off. They can, everything is done virtually. There's cameras and everything like that. And you know what? I was talking to the owner, and he says members like it. They feel like they're free there. They feel like they don't have to deal with employees. And so technology can also be used to automate, kind of a lot of the boring tasks. And there are variables with people, right? So if the front desk person, he said he took surveys and there was no difference in surveys between the people who had a front desk person and the people who didn't. Because without a front desk person, you're never going to get mad at them. So you could check right in. You never have to worry about it. With the front desk person, they could be super nice, but they also could be reading an article and the person might take that as rude. So there's a lot of variables. And I think automating things and collecting data helps prevent, some of those variables. And the key to all this, whether it's running a fitness business, whether it's running a IoT company, SaaS company, is understanding the data to create predictable outcomes.
So Michael, with these predictive outcomes, below that's predictive analytics, right? This is something I explored with my time at the Active Network, but how do you see the fitness industry using predictive analytics? What do you think that might look like to people actually making choices that will affect their bottom line?
Yeah, so I think that's the ball game. I think IoT is step one, step two in collecting the data. The IoT, the automation allows people to bring in these huge data sets. Now understanding when Josh went to the gym, what he did at the gym, how long he was there, and when he left, and then hopefully what those series of steps did to impact his physical outcome. And I think creating these predictive outcomes only comes if you mine the data, right? I mean, I've talked about 4 or 5 different outcomes, but that's great if it worked all the time. If you went to the gym 5 days, it'd be pretty easy to see. But what about the people who go odd times? Do people who work out in the middle of the week between 3 and 5 have better results than people who work out earlier in the week? These are real things that, we could sit here and argue about it all day. But when you have big data sets, you then need a product to mine the data, right? And it's just like, you have a big farm, you can't go out there and do it all yourself. You have, huge machines, you have irrigation, and, that's essentially what you're doing.
I like that analogy. So the technology becomes this new tool set to manage the farm, or what we call the fitness industry. Michael, we're getting to the end of the show. This has been such a fun and valuable conversation for us. There's just a couple questions I want to ask you about big data for the end of the show. Can you describe for us simplistically what exactly is big data in just a couple sentences?
Yeah, well, a couple sentences. Big data is the outcomes or the actions that people or things are taking without them knowing that they're essentially being tracked, right? That you can, what time you got up versus what time you got home, what happened in between? What steps did you take and what outcomes could you then connect with it? That's big data.
And with big data, there can be big results, but only if the data is used properly.
Yep. And it's all about, data. Everyone talks big data. There's data all around us, but it's how do you automate the data with actionable results, right? So a lot of people have Nest thermostats. That's awesome. You can change your thermostat from the train, but how does that help you? How do you automate that so it knows when you're home? And the next wave is, now that we have all these connected devices, is using the data to make, in this case, important business decisions and allow you to be more efficient.
This has been a really great exploration of something that's going to continue to see exponential growth. This IoT and big data are not slowing down. Actually, if you look at the data, they're speeding up. At Ray Kurzweil's work, he talks about this and the law of accelerating returns, as well as predictions by Kevin Kelly. So whatever camp you follow in that regard, the trends are all going north. Michael, do you have any parting words of wisdom for someone who's feeling inspired from this? A trainer using wearables or data, a club owner using smart cardio tracking. What are the first key steps they can do to integrate technology so they can serve more people to be healthy?
Yeah, so I would say when you look at, this is my advice and this is how I look at data. You can use data all the time. You can use it for anything, whether it comes to, where you shop and what you get and how you feel. My goal for the fitness industry is start tracking, start collecting as much data as you can, and make small goals. Right, you're not gonna change every single member's outcome in one day, but if you get smarter, if you collect more data, if you embrace it, you will see that the data will start talking to you. If you understand that everything, has a position and a number behind it, you'll do a lot better. And the last thing I'll say is numbers never lie. So if you see something in your club and you're like, I can't believe it, we'll start tracking it. And I guarantee you that the one thing you can be sure of is that you will be surprised on what the data tells you.
So enjoy your perspective, Michael. Cannot wait to connect with you at the events coming up this year. Right now I'm looking at my smartphone here on the counter, my iPhone. Well, it's called that smartphone for a reason. And this IoT, the big data that's being used smartly in an integrous way, I can see this actually supporting the end of obesity and metabolic disease in our space and in this world. So, Michael, thank you for what you do for the industry and spending time with us on the show.
Thanks for having me.
I know you enjoyed the conversation with Michael Piermont. Up next is David Johnson, the co-founder of ECOFIT. We're talking about using fitness technology to maximize your facility. We'll dive into the depths of what ECOFIT does for clubs, saving time and tracking club usage for cardio intelligence on the gym floor. We'll also discuss his background in recreation and technology. Let's dive into this great conversation with David Johnson. Dave, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks, Josh. Happy to be here with you today talking about technology in the fitness industry.
So we just wrapped a high-level and low-level conversation with Michael Piermont, your associate, around the IoT and big data. But Dave, can you give us the deeper details of ECOFIT? What does it do? Who is it for? And what problem does it address specifically in our fitness space?
Sure. Happy to, Josh. So ECOFIT Networks is a company that's been around for 6 years now, and it was founded by myself and my co-founder. Basically, I've been in the fitness industry many, many years, and we realized there was really a need for a cross-brand tracking solution for tracking fitness equipment usage, not just member usage, but the actual usage of the fitness equipment in clubs. And the reason this solution was so sourly needed, especially in North America, there's a real trend in fitness clubs for purchasing what's known as best in class. So they want a variety, a mix of cross-brand equipment in their club. Well, some of the main manufacturers have provided solutions that provide proprietary communication platforms only for their equipment. And that doesn't work for most clubs where they've got a variety of different equipment and they just want one solution for all of their equipment. So ECOFIT was born out of the need for a cross-brand communication solution. And we've evolved the company from there and began to really scale it and grow it with a lot of large national accounts over the last 2 years.
And tell me more about this. With ECOFIT, it's a closed system. There's no difference if there's a Wi-Fi signal or not. This is a proprietary system. 100% of cardio machine activity is tracked, even without Wi-Fi, for older pieces of equipment and new pieces, regardless of the internet connection, correct?
Yeah, exactly right. So ECOFIT actually has developed our own wireless protocol for communicating fitness data within the club. And what that means is that we don't rely on facility Wi-Fi. We won't interfere with facility Wi-Fi. It's a very stable and robust platform that we actually have a patent on. So the infrastructure requirements are minimal. We can go into a club that has equipment up to 15 years old, and we put a small sensor on the individual pieces of equipment that's called the relay. So each cardio piece of equipment gets a relay, and then the facility itself requires a gateway, and the gateway is about the size of a router. Once that has been set up, the gateway requires a standard internet connection, and that's it. So from an infrastructure point of view, that's it. So the communication between the relay and the gateway is our own private protocol, and because of that, we've got tremendous range up to 600 feet. In a busy club environment with very, very solid noise tolerance. So the stability of the system, based on it being our own protocol, is necessary when you go into a busy club where sometimes we're networking hundreds of pieces of equipment, and quite honestly, a Wi-Fi solution wouldn't work.
That makes perfect sense. I'm remembering episode 6 with Paul Lockington, where he talked about the signal noise and feedback. But let's pump the brakes, Dave, because I want to share your story with the audience that led you to ECOFIT. You actually set up West Coast Recreation in college. You grew it to over 3,000 members. How did that experience growing West Coast Recreation help you now to facilitate what you do in fitness equipment intelligence?
Probably just realizing that if you wanted a job done properly, you had to get up and do it yourself. And with ECOFIT, Phil and I, my partner and co-founder, he's a very talented wireless engineer. He and I both realized when we were starting this that we were going to have to wear many, many hats to get it to the point where we could hire and grow our team to specialize in certain areas. So your marketing, your HR, and the engineering and the debugging of everything. He and I did that together out of the gates with a very small but talented software and an engineering team. So my experience from past lives, if you will, has given me the ability to wear multiple hats, growing ECOFIT to the point where we are now, where we have people taking care of each division. And it served us well because we're very, very aware of the company and all of the integral parts working together as we scale our technology within the fitness industry.
Dave, let's talk about club usage. We know there's an increasing complexity in how to track not just members, but also member activity. And on one of our previous calls, you had mentioned this ROI of remote monitoring. How does this plug into the day of a club operator?
What we do is we give on an enterprise level the ability for club managers and service technicians to log into a web-based portal where they can view the activity of their equipment from, as you said, Josh, anywhere in the world. And make decisions on what they're seeing based on that data. And most do. I mean, we've a lot of our national accounts, as you know, have clubs throughout the US and Canada, and they're able to use our system to monitor on an enterprise level all those clubs remotely.
Dave, what are some of the pitfalls and opportunities that you see in the next couple of years when it comes to not just remote monitoring, but this complexity of tracking member activity?
I think actually the industry has come a long way, and what we're starting to see is some leaders that are taking shape. So what we see happening now is companies like Under Armour, who have bought MyFitnessPal, MyFitness, and a number of other popular apps in this space, are kind of starting to take a lead. Yeah. And providing an API, a very, very well-rounded API sync, so that users can go out and use their preferred apps for different activities and sync it at one place. And that before wasn't available. The market was incredibly fragmented before, Josh. You would have, and this is why I think the attrition rate on fitness apps was so big, is that there wasn't one solution that was somewhat seamless. And industries recognize that, and they have answers for that. And to that end, then another company, Apple, with their health app, Apple Health is starting to work in that space too and provide a seamless solution.
One of the things I've seen online and in the media this year is, I'm not sure if ECOFIT coined this, cardio intelligence, fitness equipment intelligence. I have a good idea, but I'm not exactly sure what it means. Can you tell us the definition of cardio intelligence?
Sure. Well, what cardio intelligence gets back to is the whole Internet of Things. And the idea of IOT, or the Internet of Things, is giving inanimate objects, if you will, the ability to communicate. So your fridge now, you can monitor, there's technologies where you can monitor the temperature of your fridge, or if it's gone off, you're going to know this on your home device. Well, we've brought the ability for pieces of equipment, new and old pieces of equipment, old legacy equipment, the ability to communicate when they need attention, or also what is being used to the point where the management team should know, guess what, we have got saturation on our treadmills in this club. We probably have members going away unhappy, or this bike needs to be serviced, or we've got a row of treadmills and the usage is really uneven on this row of treadmills. The treadmills in front of the TV are getting 3 or 4 times the usage as the one down the row. So we're providing this and giving great visibility on this equipment in the club to really improve business decisions based on the data. And that's where the term cardio intelligence was coined from, Josh.
I'm thinking about the types of clubs that might want to use cardio intelligence. On the ECOFIT site, you have many of the big names in fitness we all recognize, but tell us a few cases where clubs are implementing cardio and fitness equipment intelligence.
Sure. Yeah. We've actually been, most of the big clubs, like the 24-hour fitness clubs, the UFC gyms, Crunch Fitness, Retro Fitness. I mean, we're talking, the 4 I just listed there probably combined, they've got close to 1,500 to 2,000 locations. Well, we started working with a number of these key accounts about 2 years ago, Josh. And what they've done is they're never going to go wall to wall on a technology solution without trying it first. So they have been our focus in terms of getting in, working with them, working with their service techs, working with their vendor partners to network a number of clubs and show them the value of our solution. We've done a good job at that, and they've actually now made some of these clubs have made us a regular specification moving forward for all new clubs, and they're also looking at a program for their existing clubs. So we've had a lot of traction there, and when you talk about case studies, what it comes down to at the end of the day is the ROI. And we're saving clubs a lot of money. It's actually unbelievable. I mean, the average large club spends on average about, you say you have 80 or 90 pieces of cardio equipment in your club. Well, that's $500,000. And installing our technology from day one, when you're looking at a $500,000 initial investment, can lead to an ROI, believe it or not, over the course of the equipment using our technology of $150,000 to $200,000. That's a variety of things. That's improving service efficiencies. That's extending the life of the equipment. That's optimizing your floor space, knowing what you have too much of or what you don't have enough of on the floor, freeing up some floor space for other activities, personal training activities, and then most importantly, it's also through customer satisfaction. One of the leading causes of unhappy members in a fitness club is broken equipment, and so the value that we put on having the equipment up and running properly is huge.
With your years of experience, you no doubt understand what an optimal fitness floor looks and runs like. But I'm curious, Dave, from a personal ethos, why are you so excited about ECOFIT?
Well, I'm one of the founders, and we saw the need for this, many years ago, which is why we started this up. It was to provide two things: member fitness tracking services and improve business decisions around cardio management. So the reason I'm excited is that, we've developed our solution from the ground up to meet this requirement and meet this need. Everything that we've done, we own the IP to, and my team has quite honestly done a great job of developing a solution where we can quickly go into a club with hundreds of pieces of equipment, network it in a couple hours, and provide a seamless solution that is very stable and provides such a good service and such a strong ROI. Recently, myself and Michael Piermont, we were at Cybec, where you have some one-on-one time with some of the lead buyers, gym buyers in North America. Mm-hmm. And we sat down, we had 20 meetings over the course of 2 days, and we didn't have one person say at the end of it that this was not a good idea or they didn't need it. So that gets me excited that we're providing a solution that is very, very needed. And probably if you're looking at, if you have an existing club, probably a solution like ECOFIT is the strongest way that in today's tight market and competitive times, it's probably one of the, if not leading ways you can improve your ROI and existing operations.
Dave, thanks for the look behind the curtain and that feedback from the meetings. We appreciate that. I'm curious what you see in the next couple of years as far as standards around the IoT, how ECOFIT is going to grow and impact the space.
Sure. I think this is just the start of it. ECOFIT provides obviously a solution that works on cardio equipment. We're rapidly moving into other areas such as strength, spin bikes, and other pieces of equipment. so we can cover anything on the gym floor. But we also know that other companies are coming out with connected solutions that we look forward to tying into and providing an API for a seamless experience. Some of our partners are manufacturing partners I should say, cardio manufacturing partners such as Precor, Core Health and Fitness, Octane, Woodway. They all have, more enhanced consoles coming out that have connectivity. Well, in that situation, we're able to tie these all together with proper API networks that we're busy working with these partners on. So I think what you're going to see is equipment that's coming out over the next number of years that is starting to come out into the market. Is if it's not equipped with the technology, to tracking technology already, it will be. And we look forward to being part of that evolution and providing our software services as this equipment comes online.
You can learn more about ECOFIT at ecofitnetworks.com. We'll link that in the show notes, as well as everything from Dave and Michael Piermont today on the podcast. Dave, thanks so much for coming on the show.
Great. Thanks for having me, Josh. I really appreciate it. And we love following you here in Victoria, Canada as well.
Thank you for spending some time with me on the Fitness Plus Technology Podcast. I want to thank our show sponsors, Brian O'Rourke and his family of companies, and the Fitness Industry Technology Council. You can learn more about becoming a valued partner with FitC at fittechcouncil.org and making an impact in your business with Brian's family of companies at brianko'rourke.com. Pick up a copy of Brian and his partner Robert Dyer's recent book, The 9 Partnership Principles, A Story of Life Lessons, which is available on Amazon now. For more clarity and insights about the technology that matters for your fitness business, be sure to access your free download for the 2017 Technology Trends Report right from your phone by simply tapping on the show artwork and clicking on the link in purple. To support this podcast, if you enjoyed the show, leave us a 5-star review by touching the link from your show artwork or at fittechcouncil.org/review. Next week, we have another phenomenal show with an expert guest to inspire you at the crossroads of fitness and technology. So until I see you again next week, be well, have an amazing day, and go out there to connect online and offline with the people you care about most.